All right, welcome to another very exciting episode. Happy Friday evening. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. New episode. Let's get it. All right, welcome to again another great episode of the Real Deal Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Thanks everyone that's tuning in. We're live here in Philadelphia, and I have a great guest coming up on the show. But before we get into it, you can follow the show on all podcasts and social media platforms, whether it's Twitter or Twitter X. You can follow it on the BS3 network, bs3tvlive.com, Spotify, Apple, all the podcast platforms there. We're on the Roku channel, Roku TV. BS3 TV is the network, is the app on Roku. So download the Roku and you can get all of our shows there from the network, bs3tvlive.com. Again, we're on Spreaker, Facebook, all the uh, all the social media platforms as well. So without further ado, I am going to welcome my guest here. I'm glad to get her on. We were trying to just figure out a time and to do this show. So I'm excited to have her on. I have Jannelle Moore. She does a little bit of everything. Let's see, writer, reporter, analyst, storyteller. She covers the NBA, NFL, all types of sports and everything too. So we're gonna get into a little bit of her background and things like that, and how she got started, and we're gonna talk some of the latest things that she's been working on. So Jannelle, welcome to the Real Deal. Glad to have you on, and thank you for getting on, jumping on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, yes, yes, and like I said, you have a lot of hats that you fill there: analyst, a reporter, and storyteller, and things like that. So, but again, thank you for the time, and I really appreciate the time. So, let everyone tell a little bit about yourself and the journey, how you got started into sports, and becoming an analyst, reporter, and all those things. We'll start there.
Well, I'm a native of Old Fort, North Carolina. It is 30 minutes away from Asheville, and I'm still in the area. Um,
Okay.
and I, I'm an Aggie. I graduated from North Carolina A&T, right on the cusp of where traditional and digital media intersect.
Mm, yeah.
I'm about to snitch on my age, but yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Okay.
And I got into sports reporting since I was 16, to be quite honest.
Okay.
The first guy I interviewed was Brad Daugherty. Yeah, I
Mm,
told you I was telling my age.
okay.
He retired. He's a native of Asheville, of course, and he was the man in Cleveland before LeBron came.
Yes.
And he retired because his back gave out on him too soon.
Yep.
Um, the YMI Cultural Center in Asheville honored him and retired his jersey. And there was me at 16 years old interviewing him. But I
Wow.
didn't really think that much of it. You know, I love sports. I played basketball, and I'm like, well, that's cool. But I didn't really set out to be a sports reporter.
Mm,
I was a sports editor at A&T for the Register, but, again, it didn't really click. I'm like, yeah, I'm a sports fan, and that is my happy place. I didn't really
right.
think of it as being a career option. That was until my mom got me back into it.
Okay.
She's My nickname is TJ, to be
All
honest.
right. All right.
It says, TJ, won't you try sports again? You like it. You know all kinds of stats and stuff, and I didn't think that much of it.
Mhm.
And it was golden state of mind of SB Nation that really gave me my shot, because traditional media played in and they are still playing in my face. So Golden State of Mind is the outlet um, for the Warriors for SB Nations, and I wrote there for about a couple of years. And opportunities start to grow and grow and grow, all the way up to the San Jose Mercury as a freelancer. There's a long story behind that one, and ESPN's Landscape,
Mm-hmm.
and wherever I'm at now, I'm freelancing, and that's not really what I want, but that's the hands I'm dealt, and I'm playing them the best that I can.
Okay. All right. I've always loved hearing how, especially in media, how people got started because everyone has a different journey. Everyone has a different way of how they're where they are today, and it's interesting you said. Yes, I remember. I'm older too, so Brad Doherty, watching him because uh, back then, late '80s, early '90s
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, and because I just remember Cavaliers, Bulls,
Yeah.
going, Mark Price, and from that team.
Mark Price, Craig Elo,
Oh, yep,
Brad.
yep, Brad, yep. So I remember all those games and growing up watching all those games
Mm-hmm.
too, and everything too. So no, that I find that that's very very interesting and.
See, that's where my fandom started.
Mhm, mhm. Yes.
Again, I played basketball. I was into it. My dad played basketball. My aunts did too. He set me up a basketball goal, and I watched the NBA because of Jordan.
Mm,
I came
mhm.
for Jordan and
Yep.
stayed for Charles, for Dominique,
Yeah.
for Magic. Before Isaiah, all of those
Yes.
players.
Mm. You're right up
And
my
and
right up
on
my
and
alley.
on the journalism side, I was watching all the Bulls games on WGN Channel 9. You know, back then they had a superstation feed, and
Yes.
my cable company had the superstation feed. I came for MJ and Scotty and stayed for Allison Payne and Oprah and Donahue and Geraldo and
Mm,
Darcel Grimes from my ABC affiliate in Asheville, WLOS, and that's how I got more interested in media.
mm. That I love that because it's just like I told you, it's like right up my that's right up my alley is because I'm a Bulls fan, and growing up watching you said Jordan and Pippen and Horace Grant and
Mm-hmm.
uh and 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 I'm originally from upstate New York, lived in Philly for the last 11 years, but upstate New York for my first 33 years or so, and it was the same thing watching the Bulls. We had WGN, but we had WGN, but we didn't get all the games. It was I wouldn't even say all home games either, but it was more. I don't know. The WGN station just didn't show where I grew up didn't
I
show
got
all the
all
Bulls
the
games,
games.
and you got them all.
I
and
that's because Jordan is from North Carolina. I
could
think
be,
because
could
I
be.
got I got the home games, the road
Hmm.
games. I got all that.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. So we just got like I don't know, maybe even special games or anything like that, or big games, national games. We did get those, but it was on WGN. And but yeah, I'm with you. I just and you name all those players like Isaiah and Bird and Dominique and uh just the Joe Dumars, all
Mm-hmm.
those players and but that basketball, that brain of basketball and just like you, I enjoyed it too. So I 100% agree. And then on the media side, I want to tap into a little bit more of that. Uh, how media was, as you said, was consumed that way back then. It was TV. It was just we had our local station,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was WGN or ESPN was there, came along. But if you didn't have cable, it was just more newspapers and magazines, Sports Illustrated, things like that. And now it's definitely changed from back then when we was growing up to what it is today. More access to a lot of different ways, social media and things like that. But Talk about that. I wanted to get in a little bit of that. I love hearing how you say how you consumed and really you said stats and things like that back then and to what it is today, the media today.
I consumed newspapers primarily. I was reading them since I was 3 years old.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And when I got older, of course, TV. And I remember when ESPN was actually worth watching.
Yeah.
Um, and I have a theory on why the media is the way it is.
Mm.
It starts with Stuart Scott.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that to diss him, and I don't, you know I'm saying it started with him because he was the first guy that was authentic.
Yes.
He was the first guy that was authentic. He brought the barbershop with him.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he was criticized for it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought that, he was this sports guy, but he got his start at WRAL. And
Mm-hmm.
he was a general assignment reporter. But he got to ESPN too, and he felt, you know, in his element
Yes.
because of his love for sports. And he exuded that passion with his catchphrases and all of that. But yet the execs criticized him for it. But when he got sick and unfortunately passed away, and around that time, they's like, dang, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they brought in producers, PAs that brought the bar. I'm not even talking about the barbershop because,
Mhm.
basically the bar into ESPN, but
Yep.
it got overboard with all the hot takes and all the crap.
Yep.
And that's what made Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith switch up. They were beat reporters. Skip was a beat reporter in Dallas for years. He was
Yeah.
controversial, but he was a beat reporter. Stephen A. was a beat reporter for the Philly Inquirer, covering Iverson. But seeing all of that money and seeing the chance to expand made
Yeah.
him what he is. And I mean, you can't knock it because he's a, a millionaire or getting ready to be a multi-millionaire right now
Yeah.
with his negotiations. But that is why the media is where it is. And Skip and Stephen A. and even Stewart to the extent makes it look easy because it's like they're talking, they're like in the barbershop, they're in the bar, and it makes it seem like anybody could do it.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
there's a lot of us that went to J school. I went to A&T. I graduated from my J school. And like I said, I graduated at the time where it was the intersection. And I kind of got caught up in, the category of blogger and all of that. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of traditional media thinks I'm just that. But no, I got my papers. I got my papers just like you got your papers.
Hmm. Yep.
But
Uh,
getting them to see that has been a struggle and been a fight, and I'm still fighting that.
right. Right. Yeah. It's
And that's
it's.
because of how the media has either evolved or devolved.
Mm, yeah. Agreed. There's a lot of I like what you said about the way the media has the landscape has changed for you said there's it has evolved or it definitely has either is evolved or devolved depends on where you look at it, and I like the evolve I like that it has evolved in certain ways, but then like you I miss that traditional media too. I do miss that. um I I've had others on the podcast. We talk about long form writing, and I know you do writing, and you're a writer, and that's another element of media where I don't believe it's missing. I just think it's people just don't consume reading. I should
No, they
say
don't. They don't
they
consume
don't.
reading. They don't.
No, they
They
don't.
barely consume TV
TV, right, right. They get all
because
their news from
most
social.
of the people that consume the NBA is consuming highlights, and they don't get the nuances of the game, but yet want to go on Twitter or X or whatever you call it
Yeah.
and talk about it like they know everything.
Right.
I
Exactly.
hate that.
Hmm. I agree. 100% agree. And then you have people that are getting into the media, or trying to be media, and they're not putting in the work, they're not putting in the research, they're not doing all those things. They said they're watching highlight because it is easier. Yes, we have more access, we talked about that, we have more access to these things. Social media, you just have a social media page on any of these platforms, and you could just consume it that way, watching highlights and things like that. And now you could say, well, I watched. No, you didn't watch any, like, you're not watching TV, you're not watching the games, but it's different. I think that's the element is missing, where you said it's devalued, of that. But the involvement of more access, I think, is great. But then I do miss the days of, like you said, newspapers and the researching and in that aspect. I think, and there's a lot of people they're doing like yourself and others, but there's a lot of shortcuts too that people are taking, claiming to be media.
And they fall ahead, and fall up. And
Mm,
I'm still trying to fight and convince these old head traditional media people of my value.
yeah, right, right. And like you said,
But
I
everybody else could fall ahead.
mhm, yeah, I've seen, I've since I followed you and been following you, and I've seen the work you've put in and continue to put in, tre- uh, tremendous work, first and foremost.
Thank you.
And yeah, for sure. And I want to get into a little bit of that. You said storyteller, analyst, reporter. You said you loved from when he's like you said when you were 3 years old, reading in a newspaper, and which I love because that's the same thing for me and everything too. And um, covering all these aspects, that just showing your versatility. How important is that to be versatile and to be able to be almost a jack of all trades in a way, of you said reporting, analyzing, storytelling, for what the things you do in writing, for the things you do. How important is that to be versatile?
For me, it's very important because I'm paying the black tax.
Hmm. Mm, yeah.
I'm paying the black woman's tax in an industry that's predominantly white and male. So I have to expand. I have to work 10 times harder to even get mentioned. So it is very important. And plus it just keeps coverage fresh.
Hmm. Yeah.
So they can't say, well, where is the X's and O's? X's and O's, boom, I could do that.
Yeah.
Where's the storytelling and the in-depth features? Where's that? I could do that too.
Mm,
Q&A's, I could do that too. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And you have, and it's good to have that.
Yeah.
And that's what's missing. You could get X's and O's from anywhere, but it these games are driven by the men and women that plays them. And it just seems like a lot of reporters forget that and try to be the main character. I ain't even about that.
Hmm.
I don't want to be the main character. LeBron is the main character. Steph is the main character. KD is the main character. SGA is the main character.
Yeah.
Mahomes is the main character. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep. Agreed.
That's where the focus should be. And that's where people get it mixed up.
Yeah. They try to be the star. I agree. I think some in media definitely are trying to be that, like you said, and it gets mixed up. And taking, I've taken journalism, and we always it was always, don't make it about yourself. You're not the story. You're telling the story. Don't be the story.
That's
Don't be
right.
the subject of the story. The subject of the story is who you're either doing a feature on, you're interviewing, um, or anything like that, or you're writing about. that should be it. And nowadays, some writers and some in media, they make it about themselves and adding themselves to it. And you're right. I think that's, and as you said, that's what makes you said you're good at a lot. Try to be good at a lot of different things of storytelling and analyzing and things like that. You said you could do it all. For that, what's your favorite if you had to pick one that you like to do? Is it doing features? Is it uh, analyzing? Is it the storytelling, or is it all? You said you do it all well, but what's your
I like
favorite
features. I like features
features?
because I can I can learn something from the subjects I'm covering, and
Okay.
also give people a glimpse on what makes these men and women great.
Hmm.
Again, you could get X's and O's anywhere. You could get strategy from anywhere, anybody, but good, solid storytelling, you can't get that anywhere.
Right. That's true.
That
That's
good
true.
stuff,
Hmm.
you can't get that anywhere.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, features is good because it's the storytelling of it. It's you're featuring whoever it is. It could, you said, it could be a team, an athlete, a coach, somebody in front office, any of those things. I love that. I like I tell you, I love long form writing and reading it. And when people are doing that, I really enjoy that. So, but you brought up something about um, being a black woman in this space in media, um, and you said traditional media as we see it is white, a majority, I would say, white and male, like you said. Being a black woman in this industry and everything too. Talk about the growth that we've seen and and the more that we're seeing more and more uh, people of black women especially taking over and doing their thing, which I love seeing. But talk about that.
There's a little bit of growth, but not enough for growth.
I got you.
There
Yeah.
was a tweet that I saw maybe a couple of years ago. It was from Howard University, and it was about the makeup of the sports media space. 1.1% of it is consisted of black women, and that includes the ones on TV. That includes the Taylor Rooks, the Roz
Hmm.
Golds,
Yeah.
and all of them. That includes them too. Malika Andrews and all that. They're the 1.1% too.
Mm.
And it's not enough. And we're constantly having to fight. I'm constantly having to fight
Yeah.
to get get noticed and all. And I'm still in the fight because I love it and I'm good at it.
Yep. Yeah. For sure, and you're not giving up at all, which I love seeing. I do love seeing, and yes, that I, I that percentage should be way higher for sure, because there's too many talented black women in this
And
industry.
we make the best kind. We
Hmm.
make the best kind because what we're not going to do is fire off a bunch of goofy hot takes
Right.
and and
Right.
try to be the main character and all kinds of weird stuff because you
Mhm.
know what? We can't get away with it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
white men can, like older white men can, or even younger white men can.
Yep. Yeah.
Did you know? And yeah, and I'm going to keep it funky and I'm going to keep it real.
Yeah. Keep it real. Yeah. It's called
There
the
there
real
was
deal.
there was I'm a part of the Pro Football
Yes.
Writers of America,
Hmm.
and we get emails and stuff. And I remember one email talking about locker room decorum, and I looked at him like, oh, we all know how to act, right? We're all
Yeah.
professionals here. And then weeks later, at around the start of the NFL season, here comes the NFLPA with a message about reporters in the locker room because somebody was taking pictures of these guys and dressing undressed.
Hmm.
Even Torrey
Yeah.
Smith said it, talking about you don't know how much how many guys meat watch, or something he paraphrased, and I'm thinking, I'm like, I know women couldn't do that, and I know for sure black women couldn't do that. So,
No, no.
and I said we don't do that in Charlotte. We respect these players. We ask if we could pull them over to the side and talk, and even with that, we're in the locker room 45 minutes after the podium, 30 to 45 minutes, and some of them are gone, and a lot of them are dressed.
Yeah.
So who's doing that old freaky nasty stuff?
Mm,
It ain't
right.
us.
Right. Right.
It
Yeah.
ain't no
That's.
women I know.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I know
That's
for sure it ain't no black dudes.
new.
So there you go. But yet
No.
they could get away with that.
Get away with it. Say it. Yeah. Right. Exactly. I heard that story, and yeah, it was. Yeah, like you said, there's some weird stuff going on with that. Yeah, it's that's interesting. You're right. I think um, as you know, with media and the way it's been changing and all those things, we just hope, as you said, that percentage of black women um, getting higher because you said you're not giving up. You're gonna. You said best interviews and things like that. Just yeah, keep going, keep grinding, keep going. I love seeing it as well. But I want to talk about a little bit about you cover the Golden State Warriors, you cover the NBA and the landscape in itself. But
Yeah.
what do you think of this? Let's talk about let's go with the Warriors since you do cover them. They're off to a hot start, really, real hot start, 9-2, I believe, at this point, and coming off a really great first couple of weeks. What have you seen with this team that's different from the last couple of years? And the Warriors weren't wasn't one of the odds-on favorites heading into this season, but it's a really great start. So what do you see in this Warriors team that's been different over the last couple
I
of years?
see an infusion of new life in that team, and that
Hmm.
starts with Terry Stotts and Jerry Stackhouse.
Hmm.
Mainly Jerry Stackhouse. I have a article about their defense coming soon for the Mercury. I see that. I see um a motivated and a purposeful Draymond Green. He's keeping his nose clean, and he wants another Defensive Player of the Year. And the fact that he got one is shameful and criminal. It's almost like Scottie Pippen. Don't you know, as great of a defense as Pippen is, he didn't get a single DPOY.
I know. Yeah. Yep. He's one of the
And
greatest
and for and
defenders
for
of all time.
Draymond to have one, that is insane. And I would say that Rudy Gobert got all of the ones that Draymond should get.
Mm.
He's motivated on that end. And we got players like um Slow Mo,
Yep.
Milton,
Mhm.
Buddy Hield. They are complementary pieces. Yeah, they wanted to go to for a big splash like Paul George and all that. But what I like about this team is that the pieces complement Steph and Draymond. They have a little bit of a depth problem that they have to solve because, in the postseason, your lineup shrink and you
Yeah.
have to put the best lineup out there on the floor.
Yep.
Um, but it's working for them now. And it's working because of the complementary pieces that don't look flashy on paper, but when you see it, it makes sense. It's almost like, and I say this all the time, it's almost like a piece of clothing that don't look good on the rack, but when you try it on, you like it more.
Yeah.
That's what the Warriors are to me this year.
Mm. Yeah.
And
They
is it sustainable? I say as long as your defense is solid, if you're around in the top five and you have enough of auxiliary scoring, you got to punch you got a shot. And you know better not to count out Steph Curry.
not at all.
Not at all.
New.
So I think the Warriors will be good. I'm surprised. I'm kind of surprised by their start, but not really surprised because you got Steph on the team. You got a motivated Draymond.
Hmm. Yeah,
You know.
that's a really good point. I did a big huge NBA preview show before the season started, and this was the first year I didn't pick Golden State to be as good. I kept holding out hope, just because he said Steph Curry. Anyway, any team that has a Steph Curry and playing at that high, still playing at that high of a level, um, has a chance at least to make the playoffs. Um, but I just didn't know how the pieces were going to fit together. Losing Clay was a big piece, but you had all the younger guys, and Steve Kerr's playing those younger guys on top of those. Like you said, those complementary pieces like Buddy Heald and them.
Hmm.
So though Clay, yes, is a big hole, but there's complementary pieces that are filling his spot up. What he's done. They're doing. He said there's a couple players that are just saying, okay, we got to plug and play these guys, and that's what they're doing. As you said, a motivated Draymond Green is a huge difference on this team because you said he's playing with so much energy defensively, and he said he wants to win. He knows that
And he's in shape too.
and he's in shape. Mm-hmm.
He does Pilates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
So he's doing whatever he can to stay in shape and to stay motivated. And also that you bring up a point about the younger guys. Where Steve Kerr messed up at was jerking minutes with
Yes.
Jonathan Kaminga and Moses
Thank you.
Moody for Anthony Lambs and the Ty Jerome's of the world. But I get it. You're walking a fine line of developing and trying to win. But
Yep.
Ty Jerome, Brad Watermaker, all that, you wasn't really winning that much with them anyway. So why not develop
And play
these
them.
these,
Yep.
these guys properly? Why not develop Wiseman properly? But see, the the guy that really developed and really took his game to another level is in Washington. I'm talking about Jordan Poole. He went down to
Mm-hmm.
Santa Cruz and it started to click with him. It slowed down for him offensively.
Yeah. Yep. I did.
And that's
Yes.
that's how it worked for them. But when you're talking about developing bigs, it's kind of difficult. But since Golden State is, guard heavy and perimeter driven, it's better to develop as a guard in Santa Cruz than it is anything else.
Yes. Yeah. Right. And yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I've been saying that over the last year, to last year or two about Steve Kerr. Um, Says he wants to develop. They want to develop younger players. He played them. I think it was. I don't know if it was the beginning of last. Yeah, I think it was the beginning of last season. Last year, it was either last year or the year before, where he started to play those guys and he was trying to mix in. And you're right. I mean, you hit it right on the head. Like I was saying the same thing. He was in that middle. Well, I want to play the veterans. We still want to win, but I still got to develop. We got all these young players that need to play as well, and we're trying to intertwine them together, but we still have a veteran heavy team, especially up top. Like the Curry, the Clay,
Hmm.
Draymond. So we had, but we still got to play these guys. But I want to develop these younger guys. But then when the younger guys didn't perform or didn't produce on a consistent basis, he would put them in the doghouse, and I think that got caught. I think that caught Steve Kerr up a little bit, and that's what made that some. That was part of the reason sometimes the Warriors struggle. So Kerr, with the coaching at least for me, it was a kind of up and down, especially last season, because you said they won a championship against Boston a few years ago.
Hmm.
So he thought like, oh, we still got another run with these guys. We don't know how long this is going to last. And as we watch basketball, we know that those type of things don't last. They don't last forever. And I think they were hanging on like, well, we just beat Boston. Let's do it again. Let's try to do it again. And it just didn't work out. Injuries and the players are getting older and things like that. Now, as you said, they're motivated. Curry and Draymond are motivated even more, but the younger guys too are getting into this. And then you had whole Wiggins thing. He had a great that championship run, but then he had some personal things that happened, injuries and personal things. So that kind of, and then he said Jordan Poole, another guy that was a big part of that championship team, he moves on to Washington because of all the things that happened with Draymond and other things. So yeah, so I think Kerr now he's got the right mix and formula. So it's so far in the beginning of this year is working.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Any other storylines that you've seen in the NBA that's either surprised you or I wouldn't say surprised, just anything. I mean, the ratings are a little lower. What do you factor in with that, with the ratings
With
being?
the ratings being lowered, see,
Yeah.
the NBA isn't devoid of talent. That's not the issue.
Mm,
But what really makes it great is not talent is the one component, and the appeal and the draw is another.
yeah.
Like it's the Jordan syndrome. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
He had the talent, but he also had the appeal to
Mm-hmm.
make people that want to come and make people that want to stay. The only
Yes.
people that have that is Stephen Curry, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant. That's the
Yes.
problem. And another problem is the rules have favored the offense for so long, and
Mm,
everybody's spamming threes. Not everybody can do that.
yes.
Mid range still matters.
Yes,
It's
it does.
common sense. Not everybody can shoot a bunch of threes. You could try, but you want to be efficient. A lot of them ain't efficient. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And there used to be variety. There used to be variety back in the days, and people used to play defense, and it just got so far out there, and not to mention a bunch of gimmicks. I was
Mm,
against the in season tournament because I mean that cup will not compete with Larry O'Brien.
not at all.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
can't compete.
Yep.
But I get the incentive about making sure that every team remains competitive and not want to tank. But guess what? People are still tanking,
Still.
like the Utah Jazz.
Yep. Yep.
They want Cooper Flag.
Mm-hmm.
They're still tanking. So what's the point?
Right.
You don't even have money behind it. No picks, no home court advantage. No, there's no incentive.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've heard from Shams that the All Star game was gonna be like in tourney style. All they had to do was just play hard.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that tweet. Yeah.
The NBA is becoming too gimmicky, and for what? You got the most talented players in the world,
Mm, yeah. That's so true.
and
So true.
some of them can be themselves. And that's another thing. Iverson was criticized for being himself, but
'Cause he was.
now it's encouraged.
Yep.
But a lot of them don't have that magnetism like he did,
You're right.
and that's what the problem is.
100% agree. I mean, I agree with you. I think the same thing. And a couple comments. Ben Sutter from the BS3 Network says, "Good evening." Vinny Hardy, thanks for tuning in. Said, "Preach, mid range will always matter for sure."
That's
Uh,
how I was brought up. Remember, I
yep,
played basketball.
me too. Yeah.
I can shoot threes. I got
Hmm.
that thing on me, but I was taught working inside and then working your way outside,
Yeah. Inside out.
then working on my free throws.
Mm, yep. Yeah. It's you're right. The mid range is that's missing from that's actually missing just in general. The mid range game, the basics of basketball, the fundamentals of
Yeah,
basketball is missing. And I agree with with how why the ratings are tanking or lower because of, as you said, Curry, LeBron, KD. Those guys don't have so many years left, and they've carried this they've carried this league for so long, you know 15, 18, 20 plus years. And now that they only have a couple of years, now you have the Anthony Edwards and SGAs and coming
yeah,
up. which I agree, and I agree with I agree again with you with this the whole it's the Michael Jordan syndrome. When Jordan retired, it was we don't know what to do. Like they, it was like we're going to try to market the younger players, but it
And that
just
is why
mhm,
storytelling is so important. So
it
the
is
casual
important.
fan can get to know these new guys and kind
Hmm.
of gravitate toward them.
Yes, that's very important. Yes, you are preaching. Yes, it's very important because if you don't know him, if you don't know Anthony Edwards, because you know the other, the bigger name, the big names, I should say, the veterans, and it's just like yes, I want to get to know Anthony Edwards. We need that storytelling. We need those features of him, and that's lacking. We talked about that earlier in the show. It's missing. It's lacking. To know Anthony Edwards, to know SGA, who was probably could have been MVP
Yeah.
last season, and even
And LaMelo Ball is balling in Charlotte.
he's balling in Charlotte.
But yet
Yes.
there's somebody from
Hmm.
FanDuel or whatever that run it back show saying that is he a big name and just blah blah blah. You can be a big name in a small market.
You can.
You know what I'm saying? Since the
Hmm.
NBA is so global and everything,
Yes. So you could definitely be a big name in a small market.
we
That's
don't know LaMelo Ball. We know his daddy though.
yeah,
That's
you're
the
right.
problem.
Yes, that was the problem. Yes, we know.
Get to know. We don't even hardly know Lonzo. But
Hmm.
my point is to get to know these guys.
Yeah, yeah, and
And it
that's
starts
where.
with good storytelling. And that's where the NBA media falls short.
mm, Yeah, they do. They for sure do. So, but yeah, it's and you said it's been a great start for the Warriors. But we talked about the ratings. He said All Star. The All Star game needs to do this. If they said they just play kind of like the WNBA All Star did, they just play and they play hard. You will get the competition. You'll get people to enjoy because yeah, the All Star game has fallen flat. All Star weekend has fallen flat, but you know gimmicky. It's real gimmicky now, and um, I don't know what this is. It's definitely not what we grew up watching, for sure. Not and All Star games meant it mattered. It meant something. Yeah, it was an exhibition, but it was still fun to watch. Nowadays, everybody wants to shoot 3 pointers um and be gimmicks, and they're afraid to get injured and all these things. It makes the All Star game unwatchable. And I love All Star weekend, but it's the game itself is unwatchable
Yeah,
for sure. So oh my goodness, Jannelle, I could talk to you forever. I really enjoyed this. Um,
I did too.
I did, I really did, and I love talking. Like I said, I don't call it an interview. I was conversating. I was call it conversation with. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I want a conversation and really dive into you said media and sports and things like that. But the last thing I wanted to for you to touch on or ask you was um, talk about what's next for you in the next couple of months for the end of the year, and anything if you want to announce something that you're or anything like that, what you got coming up in 2025.
Well, I can't even think about, you know, that far ahead because it's always been the same goal trying to get on with a full time outlet.
Mm,
That's
mm,
always been the goal. But until then, I'm gonna grind and hustle for stories,
yeah.
and maybe even think of starting my own thing. What did that look like? I don't know, but all I know is that I shouldn't be afraid to aspire to you know strike out on my own because managing editors. The only difference between me and them is that they have more experience and time in. They
Mm,
don't have a master's. I don't have a master's. We have bachelor's degrees,
right.
but they have more experience and more time in. And again, what is good is that when they're out of touch.
Mm, right.
So I'm about at the point where I want to go heads up. What did that look like? I don't know. But I know what I bring to the table. And sometimes you don't join them, you beat them.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. I agree. I love that. Again, I appreciated this conversation, and I really enjoyed it. And I just I love what you're doing, and keep like you said, keep doing what you're doing because as you said, you will you're you're too you got so much talent, and I mean just not even just talent. Like I've enjoyed the things you're doing and everything too. So the many blessings and the best of luck with everything you got going on, and continued success for that too. So again, thank you for your time on the show. We have to do this again. I got to get you on again. Talk some more NBA. Got to talk some WNBA. We got to talk a little bit of everything. So this is like a introduction. So I always say when you come on again, your podcast family. So your podcast family on
all
the real
right.
deal. Yes, for sure. You're gonna be one of my people. You're gonna be one of the people that I'm gonna just put on. So be on the lookout for another invite very
Yeah,
soon.
yeah, yeah. Just let me know. Just let me
Yes,
know.
and
I'm game. I enjoyed this.
yeah, I did too. I really did. So let everyone know they can follow you on all social media and where where your all your work is and what you're doing. So let everyone know where they can follow you.
Okay, I have a monthly situation with the San Jose Mercury. I talk about the Warriors. I write for Carolina Blitz. For the Panthers there. My that's my main two. And whenever I get a chance to cover other teams, I savor it. But that ain't happened yet. So it's just Warriors and Panthers. And my account on Twix or whatever it is Jannelle 12. And I'm on Instagram as Writer Diva. And I'm on Threads as Writer Diva. So yeah.
Okay. All right. I gotta follow you on Instagram, so definitely so look out for that. So like I said, I really enjoy the content um and everything too. So again, thank you again. Everyone follow Janelle on Twitter, Twix, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I still call it Twitter. But follow her on X and Twitter. Follow her on Instagram and Threads as well, and follow her on all her things that she's doing, Warriors and Carolina Panthers and everything else. So thank you again, Janelle. Really appreciate it. And this I'll share this with you. I think it's already on Twitter, so I'll just share the link with you and yeah, you can share it or and everything else, and I'll edit this and it'll be on Instagram as well.
All right.
All right, you have a good one. Have a good weekend.
All right now.
All right, you too. Thanks a lot.
Was that was great.
Yes, it was. That was great. I enjoyed it.